getting anxious.
I know. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Entertaining Lynx Spoiler Talk, where we talk spoilers about some of the favorite things that we watch. This week we're talking about King Arthur, Legend of the Sword, directed by Guy Ritchie, starring Charlie Hunnam, and who else is in this?
Jude Law,
Jude Law.
Eric Bana.
Oh yeah, Eric Bana is in this for a little bit.
Yeah,
Why are you so loud? Talk for me again.
talking.
Why am I so much lower than you?
Maybe you
Talk
got
again?
me up on the mixer.
I am.
It's good.
Here, we have my co-host Carlos here, and you can hear Raven in the background.
Hi.
She's here.
The reason why she's not actually on the podcast is because she didn't see the film, so we're gonna spoil it for her. But she has nothing to say, so I was like, "Get the fuck out of here."
She's very excited though.
Clearly, Shane's not here. He had to leave early, but Shane loved the movie.
Yeah. Apparently Shane loved it, guys.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna call Shane on my phone.
Let's
We're gonna get Shane's live
on the air live, guys.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing.
Because I want Shane. Because I want people to be like, "Oh, you're speaking for Shane. You're just saying stuff. Shane's not actually. Those aren't his real views. You're speaking for Shane." So, Shane, the phone's ringing.
Hey, what's up?
Shane, you're live on the podcast. We decided to call you.
You're live, bro.
Oh, what happened?
No, we wanted to know, what did you think about King Arthur?
Tell us.
Oh, so, wait, am I on speaker? Are you recording?
Yeah, you're on speaker.
You're on speaker, bro. You're live on the air.
Oh, King Arthur. So, the reviews are giving it, like, what? Is it a 40 or something? Rotten Tomatoes, or like 4 on IGN?
Something like that.
Nah, it's like a 26
It's like
on Rotten Tomatoes, bro.
27 Rotten Tomatoes.
Definitely not that low of a score. See, alright, the movie, you're right. It's also, barely any character development, but it is a really fun movie. For me personally, I thought Guy Ritchie, he nailed his style, but he didn't nail the characters like he did in Snatch, you know, and like Sherlock Holmes.
Okay, fair
He
enough,
didn't
fair
get
enough.
that part. Yeah, but he got the style and the world. I was completely into it. There's not one moment where I felt like, you know what, this is kind of cheesy. Because it took itself, like he knew it was cheesy, you know what I mean? He knew it was this, how do you say that? This fantasy that's just really over the top. There was a lot of moments where it just kind of shitty CGI, and the battle scenes, the chase scenes and the battle scenes are not done properly. Because, I mean, Guy Ritchie, he doesn't really film that stuff. Which I guess he did in Sherlock Holmes a couple fights, but those were not great.
Did you just convince yourself that movie sucks?
That's kind of what it sounded like.
Definitely a lot of negatives with that movie. But I didn't come out the theater being like, oh, that was just a waste of my time. Like, I enjoyed it.
This is true.
Some people might just watch it and just enjoy it. They'll probably never watch it again, but they won't have a bad time watching it. You know what I mean?
All right, that's enough of your view, Shane. That's enough.
I can go forever. I can defend this movie forever.
Time for the consensus.
Yeah, that's why we're sending you to watch Wonder Woman, Shane. All right, see you, Shane.
All right, bro.
And now for our views on what we thought of the movie. Now that Shane said his piece, because I didn't want the podcast to go without Shane saying his piece. Okay. Overall, sorry, I want to just change my audio settings a little bit. Overall, that's more like, whoa, that's way too loud. Overall, I found the movie. What are you playing?
Nothing.
Well, what are you
The
playing?
Snapchat
Are you
that I just took of us.
Snapchatting and stuff. This guy.
So
this
sorry.
guy.
I was doing a little review.
Overall, I found the movie to be fine. Not horrible, not great, but fine, but on the low end of fine. I think it wasn't. I'd rather watch that before I watch Batman v Superman. It wasn't. I think Guy Ritchie's action style and sensibilities made it interesting enough that I was never actually bored. But I do agree that the movie was like, it's not IGN's 4 out of 10. I don't think it's that bad. I think the actors, given a better script, I'd like to see them again, because I think Charlie Hunnam was good as in the casting itself.
No, yeah, he's always good though.
You know, the casting of him was great. I think casting all around was great. Okay, let's start with casting.
Yeah.
Let's start with casting.
All right.
Casting all around. What do you
Charlie
think?
Hunnam was
Hunnam.
great. Eric Bana was great.
I think everybody was a lot better than I think.
I wish I got to see
him.
more scenes.
Yeah.
I feel like they
him.
rushed through his story as him as King Arthur's father.
Jude Law, I think Jude Law hammed it. I felt like he was like a typical villain.
Yeah,
Like
he was
he was
just
like a
playing
stereotype.
Yeah.
I almost wanted him to be like, you know, like I'm saying, like.
Yeah, he looked like Dracula from Sesame Street.
Okay, so in the movie, it's established that he's the brother. He's King Arthur's uncle, brother
Yeah.
to his father.
Family ties.
And he betrays his brother because he wants the throne for himself. Betrays his brother. It's established that he went and trained in the magical arts. They call them mages, like people like Merlin, and then they're known as the mages. And the movie opens with a battle against one mage who'd gone rogue, and King Arthur's father, I think it's Uta or something like that, saves him. Saves the day with Excalibur, and we see these giant elephants, all that kind of stuff. The opening I thought was actually pretty good.
Yeah, no, the first 10 minutes were actually.
I thought that was great.
The opening right until the credits, I was like, wow, this is actually pretty compelling.
I was like, we're gonna get some like King Arthur by way of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
stuff, you know. I thought this
Game of Thrones ish.
Yeah, I thought this is pretty cool. And then he kills his brother, and you never understand why. Because I feel like killing a family member is a big deal.
Yeah,
you know, you don't just do that. You know, like there has to be a reason, and then not to compare, but look at things like Guardians of the Galaxy, the relationship between Gamora and Nebula, these siblings. You understand why Nebula is going after Gamora. Yeah. You get it, even though you don't.
It felt personal too when you watched it.
Exactly, and never at any point in this movie did I feel that Jude Law's character would kill not just kill his brother. He kills his brother, he kills his wife, and he kills his daughter in the span of the whole film. You know, he kills everyone because the whole idea is that for the evil magic people to give him powers, you have to kill someone you love or sacrifice someone you love. But we never understood that he wants power that bad that he's willing to sacrifice people he loves. Because they also show that he kind of feels bad for doing it.
Mm-hmm. He's like, I love you so much.
Yeah, and then he kills him.
But then you're just like, where was the love? We didn't see it.
Exactly.
Where
we
were
didn't
the
see
scenes?
the fact that he loved them. He's only told that he loves them. We never believed that. And he just killed them like that. Like, I don't get why he killed them. And then
too much show and tell, not enough telling and showing.
Exactly, and that's why I put in my review that this movie forgets the whole show don't tell rule, and that kind of brings me to my next point. One of the other things I didn't like the movie. So the movie introduces Charlie Hunnam's character as this street level kind of thug. I love the
very
montage.
Guy Ritchie style montage of him growing up, because he grows up. He gets found in a brothel by these prostitutes. Grows up in a brothel, and he's taking care of them. You see a montage of him kind of training, saving this money, learning to be a badass. What was the Asian guy called? I liked his name. The one that trained all of them?
He was George, Asian George.
Oh, yeah, there you go. George.
And again, it was very, very... and I think I get what Shane is saying. It had the Guy Ritchie humor.
Yeah.
Which was great. But...
that's not a bad thing.
It isn't a bad thing, but I think the problem is it made the film feel like two films.
Yeah.
Because there was the Guy Ritchie film.
Two different type of films.
And then there was the King Arthur film being told.
Or the version that Warner Brothers wanted him to do.
Exactly. And I think it didn't know if it wanted to go all out Guy Ritchie or if it wanted to kind of be a King Arthur film. And it doesn't really go into the lore of King Arthur as much as I thought it would. Because King Arthur's story is, you know, it's one of the original hero's journey.
Yeah.
You know, that hero's journey. I think that's also its problem. Because that hero's journey over time, we've seen it in Star Wars, we've seen it in other stories where there's, over time, more nuance has been added to it. Whereas this one was, you're the chosen one, you're great, you're amazing, you're the king.
So but we don't see why.
Why is he the chosen one? Why is it's established that Merlin infused this magic into the sword, and only King Arthur's bloodline can carry that sword, starting from his father.
Exactly.
But why his bloodline? What's so special other than he just happened to be king at that time?
Exactly. You know? We didn't see like any montage of his ancestors taking on Excalibur, or maybe the first time the lineage took on Excalibur.
I have a real problem with You're the Chosen One movies, in the sense of the ones that said You're the Chosen One, why? Just because. You know, I don't like that. That's why I think I couldn't get into the Harry Potter movies, because it's just pure birthright.
Wow, you're totally right about that. I just realized they never really went into like the genealogy of why Harry really was the chosen.
Why
you
chosen? Just happened to be you were lucky.
Although it is great though that he is chosen.
No, it's true. I'm just saying that whole You're the Chosen One storyline for me. I feel like for me the best heroes are the ones that earn it. And don't get me wrong, you can be a chosen one that still has to earn it. You know, you're chosen to earn it. I love that journey where it's like you are chosen to carry this burden.
Yeah.
And you have to show that, prove that you can carry this burden if you don't like it. I don't like it where it's like you were chosen. Why? Because you're special. But why are you special over all these other kids?
of all these other
Yeah.
people. What was so special about you? And that's the problem for me with Arthur and Charlie Hunnam's character is that they establish him as this great guy from the very beginning. He's a great, even when he's at the brothel, taking care
No
of
flaws.
people, no flaws, honorable guy. So it's like, what is your character journey?
Exactly.
And they kind of try and hint at that. There's a part in the movie where, because he doesn't want to be king, and there's a part in the movie where the mage, she's never given a name. She's just called Mage.
The Mage.
The Mage. She's supposed to be one of the students of Merlin. We never see Merlin, but he's around, and she's supposed to teach him how to handle the sword. The movie establishes that the sword, whenever Arthur holds it, it's too powerful for him to control because he's trying to control it. He's got to let it control him, or let him kind of go with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
And part of his training, we get a montage of him going to the Darklands and seeing all this crazy stuff. Raven, there's a big ass rat in the not real life.
We just scared the shit out of her, guys.
Shit out of Raven. She just jumped.
She's crying right now. Currently.
I meant as in there's a big ass rat in the movie.
Yeah, and other monsters too, actually, not just the rat.
Monsters, like a big giant bat.
Yeah.
But that's my issue. My issue is we see that as a montage. That whole scene where he goes to training and it comes out at the end of it and he's like, "Yes, I want to be king now."
Oh yeah, no, I agree.
That shouldn't have been a montage.
Why? Yeah. I don't know.
It was cool looking. Don't get me wrong, it looked really cool.
Not for nothing. It's like I said. Well, obviously I didn't say it in the podcast, but this movie was originally 3.5 hours. That was the first cut. What if like Guy? Well, I don't want to actually talk in favor of Guy Ritchie, even though I was disappointed of Man from U.N.C.L.E. 2. But what if he did shoot all of those scenes in full and he was just forced to do a montage of it because he had to cut it down?
It looks like he shot it in full though.
Yeah,
it does look like that.
Everything, like even the montage, both when he went to the Darklands and both the montage in the beginning when he was learning how to fight, it really felt like all of that was full fledged.
Yeah, I felt that.
But it was just like rushed through.
It was rushed through and it looked visually cool. It reminded me also of in Ant-Man when I think he's telling the story.
Yeah.
What's his name? Michael Pena.
Oh, yeah, Michael Pena's funny stories.
Yeah, with the editing thing. It kind of reminded me of that when they're telling the stories.
Yeah.
But where in Ant-Man it informed the story, it was like with Ant-Man that montage worked because you don't need to see it as anything but a montage.
Exactly.
Whereas this one,
and it was effective.
Yeah, it's very effective. Whereas this in Arthur, it made me want to see more of that montage. Like, give me more of that.
Here.
Let me see his journey into the Darklands.
Yeah.
Let me see him go through all this crazy stuff and then decide, I need to be king.
Yeah.
Why does he need to be king for these people?
Matter of fact, a perfect example would be, and this is one of the only times we'll probably praise Snyder here, but in the beginning of 300, when you saw Leonidas learning how to fight and learning how to fend on his own and becoming a king on his own, we actually saw all that footage.
This is very true.
And that's what made it even more effective when he finally became king and had to sacrifice himself.
This is true. Let's talk about the directing, Guy Ritchie's directing.
Yes.
I personally think Ritchie's directing saved the film, but his directing didn't save the film at the same time. Where I think the movie's biggest issue was the writing and some of the visual effects. I don't know. Has Ritchie done visual effects heavy movie?
I mean, it has to be Sherlock Holmes, bro.
That's the closest thing.
Because I can imagine most of those scenes were shot on a soundstage.
Yeah. I think Sherlock Holmes is probably the closest thing, and that's the movie that doesn't really require. I think the VFX is more for the background.
Yeah, exactly.
To kind of render old style London.
Yeah. Man from U.N.C.L.E. was another one where he kind of like went back in time. That was like a 70s
exactly.
movie.
It's just more for the aesthetic, but it's not a visual. You're not.
I see what you mean. Yeah,
you don't have those kind of visual effects, and I think that's where it was a letdown in some places. The elephants look great.
Yeah,
they looked amazing.
No, they looked like fucking straight out of Game of Thrones.
And but I just feel like some of the crazy shots when he's holding the sword. At first, I was like, "This is cool." Then it's like, "Wait, this is too much." I can't even pay attention to what's going on.
I'm not gonna lie, the VFX was pretty bad for the demon who was Jude Law in the end.
Yes,
when he was shooting the shit, I was just like, "This is Ghost Rider in 2005."
I thought it was fucking what's that game called? God of War. That's what I was thinking of.
With the sparks coming off of the sword. Yeah.
And then where did that big giant snake come from?
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that was about, bro.
And that's the thing. In halfway through the movie, the snake comes like when the bad guy, Jude Law's character, kidnaps. Who did he kidnap again? The kid and some other people.
Yeah.
And told Arthur come alone. So Arthur comes alone. Then without his sword, then the big giant snake comes, takes out everyone except the king. Like, why don't you take out the king as well?
Yeah, I don't understand what they were trying to say with
It's up to
that.
Arthur to take the king out. Apparently, like the snake takes out everyone, then goes.
Oh yeah,
away.
that's right. No, but wait, wasn't the king like the mage? You see what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
so
I know.
confusing, like
So confusing.
because
understand.
that's what I kind of understood. I was like, oh, maybe the snake is a mage, and that's why I didn't take out Arthur. But then it's like,
what?
what's the
Then
whole?
what's the point? I did like the idea of King Arthur's dad, how he hides the sword before he dies.
Yes.
Throws it up, gets stuck in his.
Yes.
I thought that.
Oh,
Was
that
cool.
was fucking. That was actually one of the dopest.
That was cool.
Especially because that
it,
was a highlight for
it
me.
It shows you before, because when you look back at the stone it's in, it looks like a human.
No,
form.
it just looks like a yeah.
But you don't know it until you know it.
Yeah.
You know when you know it, you're like, oh yeah, it is.
Because he just became stone over time.
I thought that was really cool.
Speaking of which, I actually want to talk about that scene. That scene could have been way more effective when Arthur pulled the sword out of the stone.
Yeah.
But with the David Beckham and then Guy Ritchie kind of trying to.
David Beckham cameo in this.
And it's like one of the most important scenes of the movie.
And David Beckham's a shitty actor.
Which really takes away from the whole, Arthur's finally taking Excalibur out of the sword. And it's, I don't know, man. I feel like that scene could have been way more effective. Same with the scene where Jude Law finally captures Arthur for the first time.
Yes.
Realizing that he's
actually.
actually.
A great conversation.
Yeah.
It's almost,
that could have been like the scene in Batman when he finally sees the Joker for the first time.
Like, even though they're uncle and nephew, their relationship could have been Thor and Loki.
Exactly, because it's family.
It's
drama
family.
At the family drama at the end of the day.
Why Loki does what it is. It's almost like King Arthur, because like Thor has to be worthy to pick up the stone, the hammer.
Exactly.
It's almost the same kind of story.
And he steals the throne from him.
Exactly, and that could have had that kind of relationship. It's just wasted. Jude Law's kind of acting talent is wasted in this. Yeah. You don't care. You don't care about any of it.
I feel like honestly everybody, the cast is great, but I feel like everybody was wasted in it.
I did like the camaraderie between Arthur and his men.
Yes.
Like, I thought they were great together. Like
very Snatch and Rock and Roller-ish.
Oh yeah, if you like the dialogue in movies like Rock and Roller and things like that, you're
gonna love the
kind of dynamic,
that tone that they have.
But you still never get a sense of. Yes, they have a great dynamic, but why do they follow him? You never get a sense of why they're
Besides, he's a great guy, and they tell you
that. Friends, but you don't. I'm not gonna just follow you to death. Like to possible death, and especially when people like what's his name?
Jimon Hansu. Yo, I forgot he was in it. This is like the first time we're mentioning his name, and like he's such an important actor.
And he's an important character in the story.
Yeah.
You never understand why. Yeah, he was one of his father's kingsmen, but
exactly.
Why does he start this? He starts the underground movement.
Yeah. And who was he to the king?
Yeah, like why was he the only one? Why were the other kingsmen? Why weren't they helpful? Yeah, and things like that. And why was he protecting the sword and all that other stuff?
How does he know the mage? Yeah. And why is he related to the mage? Why would the mage come to him first?
Yeah.
To save Arthur to begin with.
It just comes
a lot of whys.
It becomes and it becomes frustrating. And then even one of the ladies on the king's kind of I don't know her name. The one that ends up betraying the king.
Yes. Yes. I don't know if that was like her.
She was part of the underground, but it just felt like that was forced. She came out of nowhere. She's part of the underground movement. He's like, wait, where did you come from?
But what is her position in the kingdom?
What is it? And then why do you have such a high position? Like, how did you get that high position if you end up being a spy?
Yeah.
How did you end up getting there? Things like that.
And how did he find out? How did Jude Law find out that you were a spy?
That she was a spy. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of plot holes in this.
I like the kid. What's his name? Blue.
Oh yeah, Blue was cool, man.
That was cool. He was a cool kid.
He kind of fucked it up though.
I know, but he makes sense though, because he was kind of a badass at the beginning. I don't know that guy. You do whatever you want with him.
Yeah.
And it's like, goes to cut off his ear. I did like that moment where Jude Law cuts the guy's ear off and starts talking to the ear.
Oh yeah, that was pretty cheeky. I like that. That was pretty good.
What else did I talk about? I don't know. There's not too much we can talk about this movie.
Yeah, no, it's just a lot of wasted potential.
I think it's more frustrating. I don't see it as a bad. I don't hate it as much as Carlos does. Carlos thinks it absolutely sucks.
Oh no, I fucking think it's terrible, guys.
I think I put my review that it's background viewing while you're doing some other work, and so if you don't pay too much attention to it, it's fine. I was never bored in the movie. I think Guy Ritchie's directing style kept me from being bored. It doesn't have this kind of lull where you're thinking what the fuck's happening, but you're still thinking what the fuck's happening, because I feel like the story is lacking very much in story and the dialogue and the characterizations. I think with a good writer, Guy Ritchie's still a director that I think I have faith when he has a good writer behind him. I think he needs that. And Carlos was saying earlier on that he's kind of worried about Aladdin.
Yes,
I will say
am.
this: the opening scenes made me think of Aladdin in a good way. In terms of when you see him like in the rundown part of town,
Yeah,
being a
yeah,
hustler,
yeah.
all
Oh
that kind
no.
of stuff.
Oh yeah, and especially like when Guy Ritchie was in his town and they showed him like running away with the
Charlie
jewels
Hunnam.
with the
Guy Ritchie.
Charlie Hunnam, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Running away with like the coins and stuff when
Exactly.
in that action scene. That reminded me of Aladdin a lot, and
It did. It reminded me so much of that. And I think Disney will look at this and be like, let's get a good writer behind him.
yeah.
They're not going to give him
They
the power
should.
of someone like
Or at least
Favreau.
let him write it.
Yeah, they
Because I
won't-
think he's a good writer. He is a good writer at the end of the
Actually,
day.
it's true. His own movie.
Yeah.
And also, like, I feel like with Aladdin, they're gonna it's almost he has more freedom story wise to do things compared to something like King Arthur. I didn't think King Arthur allowed himself to go crazy with the story. I think he could have gone really deep because King Arthur's legend is so deep. You could tell multiple films.
Yeah, there's a lot of
with it. There's so much
mythology
to it.
to
Because we didn't even get
explore.
into. They didn't even bring in things like Lancelot. He wasn't even in this film.
No.
Which was
I
fine.
mean, but I guess no, but I think that was like this one is like the first one in a planned 6
Yeah,
film
well,
series.
guess
I
that
mean,
plan is down the drain.
yeah,
now.
we doubt they're gonna get to the second one, but that was the whole point, I guess, because at the end they reveal the Knights at the Round
And
Table.
like Guinevere and things like that. I
Yeah.
love Arthurian lore. I grew up on that. I'm obviously English, and so I grew up on
English
Arthurian lore.
Dave.
And I hated the old. I would watch this over the old Arthur movie with what's his name.
Keira Knightley and Clive Owen.
Yeah.
Oh no, absolutely, absolutely.
It is not that bad. It's
No,
not as
it's-
bad as that one.
All right, yeah. I'm kind of overstating it. It's not as bad as the last King Arthur that came out
Yes.
all those years ago.
That one was terrible.
But
I was excited to see a King Arthur movie that accepted and fully embraced all the fantastical elements.
yeah,
Actually, something good I'll say. I like the score. I did like the score. It
it was kind of cool how
It's
they
like this punk rock,
modern punk
Modern.
rock-ish, but they still had the
medieval sound.
the medieval sound. There you
Yeah.
go.
But I think it worked. It kind of
Yeah.
worked for it. I don't know. I'd love to see what happened behind the scenes of this film. Like you said, I think Richie did shoot a lot of it, and it was cut down to for montages.
Yeah.
Because there are some parts of the movie where I felt like, wait, we just jumped to the next scene suddenly. It felt like I missed something.
3.5 hours was first
missed
cut.
something.
They definitely edited that one down. I'm honestly gonna say like we were agreeing on, like the opening was so good.
Yeah.
And then like as you get through on like the film, it kind of starts dragging down.
Yeah.
And it kind of just makes you wonder, like maybe in production was it like that?
Yeah.
Did he start off like really like, oh, he was gonna nail the film, and he knew what was gonna go through and what was gonna work, and then at the end of the day, maybe studio pressure got to him and he had to kind of condense the work that he wanted to create.
Yeah, I agree. I think also it's a film that, I don't know. Do you think it would have benefited from being R-rated?
What was that?
Do you think it would have benefited from being R-rated to really go in?
I mean, Sherlock Holmes is PG-13.
Oh, this is true.
I felt like he still could have pulled it off.
Yeah.
Honestly, maybe it is a mixture between studio pressure and not being able to hit the rating.
True. Because I don't want this to be a thing that kills movies like that. Because I want to see movies like that. I want to see Arthurian Knight's Tales and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That are trying something different.
I will say this, since you mentioned it, like the R rating, maybe it was hindered in that way because they were modeling it after Game of Thrones, and Game of Thrones is very uncensored.
But it's not R-rated. It's because it did feel like something was missing. Because again, I think it's a movie that if you hear us shitting on it and then you watch it, you might be like, oh, it's not as bad as that. You guys are saying it is. Because it's not a movie that's apparently bad while you're watching it. It's like towards the middle, the end of the film, when you start thinking, oh, I want more, and then the movie ends,
something missing,
and you're like, and you think about it, and it's something missing. I feel like it's a movie that's not necessarily bad for what it does. It's bad for what it doesn't do. I think that it's missing a lot, and I think we need to see character arcs. We need to see character motivations. We need to see
a payoff, some kind of what do you call it? Some kind of like plot device where there's a payoff in the end.
And I thought you could have done that with the sword itself.
Yeah.
The sword could have been that thing, and I think they don't do enough with that, with the actual sword itself. Like you could have added so much character through the sword because it's called Legend of the Sword.
Exactly.
But the sword,
you could learn the history of the sword.
Yeah, it could have gone the history of how the magic, because you never get a sense of how magic really works because it's a very grounded world.
in many ways, but then there's magic in it. But you're never quite sure. Like, okay, you see the elephants, but it's like, okay, what else is there? And you never fully get magic's
Besides
place.
the mage.
Besides the mage,
After the whole opening with the elephants and stuff, you only get the sense of magic from the mage.
and even then, most of the mage does is like control animals.
Yeah.
You know, you don't, and you see some other magic stuff in flashbacks, but you never get a real sense of what magic really is in this world.
Exactly.
And I think that's also what held it back. I'm a huge fan of kind of like gritty, raw magic. Another reason why I personally, not to say that bad films, but why I personally can't get into Harry Potter is because it's too kiddie magic for me.
Kitty cookie cutter.
Yeah, and I want to see like raw magic. Like if you guys watch The Magicians, check it out. The Magicians, fantastic. It goes balls to one. It's also why I can't watch Game of Thrones. Again, not to say it's bad. Is that Game of Thrones for me is the opposite of Harry Potter, where it's like grown up an adult, but they only hint at the magic. I guess later seasons go more into it, but for me, Harry Potter is full on magic but too kiddie. Game of Thrones not enough magic in adult, and I wanted that kind of blend of both. That's adult and just unapologetically magic and just goes all out with
True. And I feel like they could have just it's like you said, they could have told way more of a story with the magic. Like
where's the dragons?
Jude Law.
Yes.
How did he learn how to do all that shit? How did he even get sucked into the magic world?
Exactly.
Besides seeing like the possessive like demon woman whatever squid that he was talking to.
I don't know what the fuck that was.
Exactly. Like I would love to learn more about how he got into that and how he thought that was a good way to like betray his brother and shit.
A bunch of like tell don't show where they tell us oh, for Jude Law to use his magic he has to sacrifice a loved one, but why? Like why is that the sacrifice? You know, because the script says it has to be a loved one. Like like what makes it special that in terms of like no, it's a throwaway line actually. They use a throwaway line saying he went training for the mages, but it's like why is that a throwaway line? Why don't we see that? Why don't we see the history of his uncle training with the mages? Yeah. Maybe his training, he learns something about King Arthur's father.
We could have gotten a montage of that.
You know, maybe King Arthur's father wasn't as good as you think he is.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I think the good characters were too good and the bad were too bad. It was like black and white. You know, that's why I loved, again, to come back to Thor, Loki he's upset when he finds out his real history and he felt like Odin lied to him. Mm-hmm. So personally, you understand why.
But there's still shades of gray because Thor was still kind of protecting him at the end of the day.
Yeah, but Thor was arrogant. But then also, like I said, Odin was protecting him. But Loki says, yeah, but you could have told me about it. He took me away. You know, things like that. And I love all that. And this kind of didn't have any of that.
No personality, no payoff, no emotional balance.
But I just hope we get more movies like this. And I'd still see another Guy Ritchie movie. Not necessarily Guy Ritchie...
King Arthur. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's gonna happen.
I don't think that's gonna happen, but I still want to see a Guy Ritchie movies.
No, I wish him the best with Aladdin. Maybe the best parts of King Arthur would translate.
Yes,
and it'll end up being, a smash.
I still want to see him do Aladdin, and maybe that's kind of, it's because that won't be as gritty because I think it's still a musical.
Yeah. So, is it?
Yeah, they said it's gonna have music in it. It's
Guy Ritchie doing a musical.
Right,
this man is just all over the place. I'm telling you, man, that divorce from Madonna, man.
Well, we'll see how that turns out. But that's it, guys. There's nothing more we can say. What did you guys think about King Arthur: Legend of the Sword? Did you guys like it? Are you in Team Shane?
Let us know. Team Shane, Team Carlos, and David.
Email entertainlinks at gmail.com, or you can find us on Twitter at entertainlinks, LYNX. And if you guys can tell me why you liked it, the first person will get a free copy of Split on Blu-ray. I have more copies left. We've given some away, but I have some more. They sent me some more. Yes. And it's not connected at all, but I feel like giving a free copy away.
There's a sequel coming forward, so you guys might as well get into the contest. And
definitely. And that's it for the spoiler talk. Thank you, Carlos.
Yes, thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Raven.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And we'll be speaking to you guys next week. See ya.